Ha! Well, so I'm live. All right, excellent. How is everybody doing? Um, Welcome to the Jimish live stream. My number two, Jim's number two, Jim's live stream. uh, hey, kind of an impromptu bit um, as I fiddle around with my equipment here. Um, hey, just thought this would be a great live stream. Hey, to talk about lots of things. One, I was going to talk about some movies. Two, going to talk about dreams, obviously, kind of in the title. Uh, Dreams, just weird dreams. Had an interesting conversation with Sam today, Sam and Ray Ray, and they were talking about. Sam was talking about a dream he had while he was out fishing for sharks out, out on the coast, and how Hickory Dick 79, I can't remember if that's what his name is, Hickory Dick Sharpshooter, I can't remember, I think that's what they call him, Salmon, he called himself. So anyway, I was going to talk about, just really briefly, Happy Victoria Day to all those who are in Kanukistan. So all of those who are in Kanukistan, Happy Victoria Day. I hope you enjoy being a subject of the crown and celebrating your monarch's birthday, your dead monarch's birthday. You get at least a holiday for it, a federal holiday, but you can't really go anywhere because you're all locked down because you believe in science. And so you are continuing to lock yourselves down, enforcing curfews, and you can't go anywhere. You have to be in by 9 o'clock p.m. Because uh, that's how you stop the spread of the unspecified virus of unknown origin, which Dr. Fauci talked about today. Of course, everybody's losing their shit about it. Things that a lot of us probably already knew about its origins. He said he's not ruling it out, but that's not what I'm talking about because we've had enough of the cooties um, basically driving every talking point of everybody in the world who's on the internet, and they all have their own opinions about it, and we know what opinions are like. Everybody has one, etc., etc., yada 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 yada. So if you're in Kanukistan, enjoy your holiday of not going anywhere as you celebrate being a subject of the crown. So, and two, wanted to talk about an awesome movie that I saw. I watched that new Bob Odendorf movie, Nobody. That movie kicks ass. That movie was so refreshing. Basically, um, the past 2 years of just having shitty ass movies that have uh, know nothing of character development, know nothing of the hero's journey. This was a movie that was straight up balls out awesome movie. Some great one-liners in it, great characters that were in it, great action scenes. I think the producer from one of the producers of John Wick movies, I think he was involved with it. Um, Somebody, but it wasn't too wickish. It was definitely just a straight up action movie. Great lines, great scenes, great characters. All the characters were written very well, and it picked on the Russians. So again, shooting the shit out of Russians. So I highly recommend the movie Nobody. Um, I watched it on Amazon Prime, streamed it on Amazon Prime because I didn't really want to go to any movies. As much money as I spent on Amazon Prime streaming it for 48 hours, it's what I would have spent going to a movie. The gasoline going to a movie, the ticket to get in, uh, the bottle of water, and the bag gummy bears, um, or snow caps would have cost me as much as it cost me to watch it on Prime. And so, and actually, I rented that movie on Prime, and I watched it back to back. I watched it straight through, immediately texted Sam and Ray Ray, and pretty much everybody I knew. I was like, watch this movie. It is great. It's awesome. I'm getting ready to rewatch it. So I watched it 3 times in a row. Um, it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. Super enjoyed it. Lots of great gunplay, lots of great one-liners, lots of great action scenes. Just describing the action scenes to Sam while we were at a Steel Challenge competition. Um, it's such a great movie. Once it comes out on physical media, I'm going to buy it. And actually, I encourage everybody to buy as many movies as you can on physical media. Uh, you never know when a streaming service is going to decide that the winds of public opinion change, and they're going to censor those movies or get rid of those movies or restrict access to them. So what I've been doing is all of my great classic movies, especially kind of the golden age of American cinema, which was probably like 1971 to about 1978. Probably the golden age of American cinema. I've been buying a lot of those movies on physical media so that I can still own them. And this is from a guy who owns still. I have the original Star Wars trilogy, which that went all to shit with the last 3 movies. Still own those, the original ones that didn't get dorked up by George Lucas. Still have those on VHS, and I need to go find me a VHS player because I have some great older movies on VHS. Sometimes they go out of print. The distributors are the owners of the rights. They let them sunset, or they don't get DVD transferred. So I need to go find so I don't sound like a hipster. I mean, I really don't want to sound like a hipster, but I go out and I have some VHS tapes with the sole intention of buying a new VCR. Um, Not a new VCR, probably a VCR that still works, just so I can have physical media. Plus, too, I mean, a lot of the great B movies. I think the golden age of American cinema was in the 1970s, and I think the age of great B movies was 1980s. Was the 1980s, and then like the great indie movies, kind of like 89 to about like 96 or so, is when you had these great independent films. Like the 1980s had these great B movies. Like if you get a distributor to carry it in like 200 theaters, and it cost you $20,000 to make a movie, they'd make up a slasher flick with, just a bunch of tits and ass and people getting stabbed and killed or gruesomely murdered, and you'd make, $500,000 off a $20,000 investment. You didn't have to have a blockbuster. You just had to come up with something that people were willing to go shuck out a couple bucks at the theater. So a lot of great B movies came out in the 80s, and back in the 90s, being a Gen Xer, I think the 90s, like that period of like 1989, 90 to about 96, you had some great independent films that came out. That was kind of when Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, they got their start. They had their first major releases. Well, not major releases, but independent films that got a major studio release. So getting some of those movies on media, physical media, getting some of those, still having them. But really great B movies, really great cheesy, horrible movies came out in the 80s. I mean, just and some really good classic movies. The late 80s, early 90s also, that the trend was like the erotic thrillers. So those, I was been watching those on the streaming services. Some of those classic, or I consider them classic, those erotic thrillers, like China Moon, Angel Heart, Basic Instinct, obviously, Sliver. God, what was the one with Ellen Barkin? Body Heat with William Hurt and Catherine, what's her name? Shucks. I can't remember her name. But then Body of Evidence. What was that with Willem Dafoe and Madonna? And then Ellen Barkin, oh, Sea of Love, Ellen Barkin and Al Pacino. Yeah, all those great erotic thrillers. You know, somebody gets murdered and then the prime suspect and a cop or the lawyer or somebody, they end up having some intense love affair. 9.5 Weeks. That was another great one. Those just the silly erotic thrillers. Or it was just an excuse for the film sex scenes and have high drama and tension. So some great movies. Those are great movies. And then so Nobody is a great. It's a great throwback to those awesome movies where it's just a dude has to do something, kind of fails and stumbles, and then fucking succeeds. Such a great movie. Great character, great protagonist, great supporting characters. Everybody was written with all the characters were written in his purpose, for a purpose, and I enjoyed it. It was just, you know, it didn't make any pretenses about what it was. It wasn't high art. It was just entertaining to the audience, and that's. I think that's what a lot of movies today have lost. They don't want to be entertaining. They want to be. They want to. They want to. They want to, you know, somehow prove how much smarter they are, or how much more clever they are than you, or they're going to subvert your expectations, which is good if it's like Empire Strikes Back, and you know that subverted your expectations. And then you know the Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, you know that subverted expectations. You didn't expect Spock to die, and so. Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Actually, you should just get on the chat and tell me this. People are texting me. Um, yeah, it was a great. Yeah, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. That was another one. James Spader was in that one. That was a weird movie. So, but the other movie, you know, people are texting me right now, telling me what were some great erotic thrillers of the 90s. I encourage you to use the chat. If you're actually watching, just use the chat. I'll throw your chat. I'll throw your chat up on the screen and give your comments or your chats. I'll give you your platform. You know, I'm a platform. I'm not going to edit your I'm not going to edit your comments. So this is my platform on a platform that calls itself a publishing company that calls itself a platform, which is the YouTubes. So. Sabotage by Arnold Schwarzenegger, kind of that one. That one came out. That was a great one. So, but I wanted to talk about it because I saw the trailer for this movie, and I was like, what the hell? This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Again, talking about, I'm sure somebody with blue hair is going to like it, with a Twitter account is going to like it. But this movie called Cruella. All right, so it's got Emma Stone in it, and it's called Cruella. And apparently it's supposed to be about young Cruella de Vil. Remember the lady from 101 Dalmatians who wanted to murder puppies, who not only wanted to murder puppies, so she's a cruel devil because she wants to murder puppies, but her depravity, her evility, her cruelty knows no bounds. Not only does she want to murder a bunch of puppies, but she also wants to wear their skin and fur because she thinks it will be awesome. So these geniuses, whoever these writers are, they want to take this incredibly evil woman, Cruella de Vil, this incredibly evil woman whose only goal is to skin puppies for clothing, and they want to somehow make this cruel woman, this evil woman, a misunderstood strong role model, an anti-hero. And so, no, as the great Jordan would say, no, that's stupid. And that just shows you how literally, I can't imagine a board, directors at a production studio, and let me see, who was it that was? I looked at the poster. No, I think it was Disney. Yeah, Disney. Obviously, since they own the property. But you want to take this incredibly evil woman whose only goal is to murder puppies and wear their skin for clothing, and make this woman a role model. Two in the stunning, one in the brave. You know, an anti-hero, which I won't be watching it. So um, I don't get it, and perhaps that's what it is. I just don't get it. I'm not smart enough to get it. That's the state of entertainment, of modern entertainment, and that's not. That's just why would you make a movie like that? Make now. I may have completely misread the trailer, and she may just be an evil sociopath, and some unknown character who's not revealed in the trailer ends up defeating her at some. She may want to uh, gas some ethnic minorities, and they thwart her. So then she decides she'll just switch to puppies, later on in her life. But I doubt that. I doubt that they're that smart or that clever. So, she's my favorite. Fuck off. That's I still don't get it. Why you would take somebody who wants to just murder puppies and make them the hero of your movie. Uh, Ray Ray, you're boomerang it. The comments are there. You just comment on it. To Live and Die in L.A. To Live and Die in L.A. Gosh, I remember watching that movie back when I was a teenager. Um, God, that was a great movie. Now that was a truly great classic '80s movie. Just you know, Secret Service agent going after going after the counterfeiter, and it was such a great movie. God, that was a great movie. I remember actually seeing that on UHF. UHF when it went into syndication, they would show movies, and so I saw the original when I was just a kid, To Live and Die in L.A., and I just thought it was so awesome, and it was just, again, that's another movie that kind of like just subverted your expectations, but it did in a great way because the main character, spoiler alert, main character gets killed in it, and so his partner ends up becoming the badass at like the last 90 seconds of the movie. Um, to Live and Die in L.A. is a great movie. Um, uh, yeah, To Live and Die in L.A. Yeah, God, I remember that movie. And then that's another movie that I need to get on physical media because it's just such an awesome movie. There's no, it's just raw. I think it was probably kind of like one of the last. It was a movie that should have been made in the '70s, but it was made in the mid '80s, and it just of showed all the excess of the '80s, and just the culture, like pop culture that was around Southern California. And just this cop who's um, doing the dirty work to try to do the good work. Yeah, especially there at the end. Like those last few minutes of To Live and Die in L.A. And To Live and Die in L.A. had a great soundtrack. Wang Chung actually did the Wang Chung did the title track for the movie. So I just watched a uh, great interview with Wang Chung and how it was basically about the song Everybody Have Fun Tonight, and how Everybody Wang Chung Tonight became a part of the pop culture lexicon, and how even it shows up in movies today. But yeah, Wang Chung did the soundtrack for To Live and Die in LA. So yeah, a great movie with a great soundtrack. Again, it was just a movie that was made to entertain people. It was a hard R. It was a hard R rated movie. Um, it had sex in it. It had violence. It had even showed homosexual relationships in it, which was kind of ahead of the time there for the '80s. Showed drug use. Uh, showed execution gangland style murders. I mean, it was such a great movie, and it just blew my mind the first time I saw it. I was like, God, this is such a great movie. And you know, the Secret Service agents were carrying these Model 19 Smith and Wesson 357 Magnums, so that was pretty cool. Great movie, great movie. God, it was a great movie. The original Dawn of the Dead is better than the remake, which is better than Army of the Dead. Thanks, Ray Ray. Yeah, the original Dawn of the Dead is better than the remake, which is better than Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead, Army of the Dead. No, I think Army of the Dead is a great movie, which I own on physical media. You can't mess with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. Sam Raimi is a great filmmaker. His Spider-Man films are the greatest Spider-Man films. Better than the trash that's been released in the past decade. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man films are the best. And then, you know, it all started with The Evil Dead 2, and then Army of the Dead. And then, yeah, but the original Dawn of the Dead is great, which was actually shot in a shopping mall in Pennsylvania, a real deal shopping mall. A shopping mall which, as Ray Ray brings out, um, had a gun store in it. And what's also cool about George Romero's movies, you know, he was kind of one of the first where he just wrote good characters, and he cast whoever did the good character, whoever made a good character. He didn't try to tick any boxes. It's like, hey, didn't matter who you were, if you read good for the character, he would cast you as the character. I still remember my favorite line from Dawn of the Dead, when they're in the gun store. Um, uh, they're in the gun store. He picks up a rifle and he says, "The only man who could afford," I think he says that. He said, "Yeah." It's like the only person who could afford to buy this gun is the one who couldn't hit anything with it," which is great. But that is a great movie. And they used to have it at Hickory Farm stores. I remember going to the mall and there was a Hickory Farm store. So you go to the mall and there would be Hickory Farms. The mall that I always used to go to also had Dunder House, which sold beer. I thought that was kind of cool. A store, a restaurant in the mall that sold beer. Um, but the yeah, that was the peak of America when we had malls with ice skating rinks and Hickory Farms. Oh, and Spencer Gifts. Spencer Gifts, where you could buy the birthday cards that had the great sexual innuendo on them. You know, I got you. I just remember those from Spencer's Gifts. There'd always be the gift cards, the birthday cards that would have, you know, the hunk or the sexy lady on it. You know, I got you. Unwrap your present or something. You know. Of course, they'd have the goofy ones that would have, you know, the senior citizens on it. You know, make fun of people that were turning like 30 or 35. So those were always great. Van Halen and Van Halen posters and muscle massagers. Muscle mas- Muscle massagers. Yeah, Van Halen posters. That was great. Gosh, you're bringing me down memory lane there, Ray Ray. So, anyway, I wanted to. I had the chance mostly, but Sam wasn't able to join me. But the dream, which apparently was an epiphany to me. Um, so apparently, Hickory Dick 4000, while he and Sam were at the beach catching sharks, he said that he had a dream about me, that he showed up at the Palmetto Lounge. And Hickory Dick walks into the Palmetto Lounge and he says that apparently yours truly had a had a bear cub. So apparently I had a bear cub, and he says Um, he says, I had a bear cub, and he says, "Hey, be careful. Uh, you need to watch out because when it gets its claws, you're going to have trouble with it." And apparently, I replied to Hickory Dick 17,000 and said, "It's already got its claws." And then apparently, while they were driving back home, they saw a black bear that was dead on the side of the road. And so, obviously, the interpretation of that was to uh, watch both ways before I cross the street, which reminded me of when we were in Perkland. I can't remember if I had the dream or if Sam had the dream, but uh, one of us had the dream that one of the other was riding a bicycle, and we had a 2x4 strapped across the handlebars, and we were trying to get somewhere. Um, I think maybe Sam had it. I think he had drifted off for like a micro sleep, and he drifted off for micro sleeps because he said it was related to when he was a kid, and he was working at a lumber yard, and a guy came up on a liquor sickle and bought a bunch of boards and strapped them across the sickle like they were airplane wings, and started going down the road, and which led me into revealing the dream that I had last night. I had the dream that had a dream that I had was cutting my toenails, and underneath my toenails, I would cut my toenails. There was tree bark underneath my toenails, and so for some reason I was cutting my toenails, and tree bark was underneath my toenails, um, which obviously means with me having a bear cub in Hickory Dick 17's dream, then there's being a dead bear and me having tree bark underneath my toenails. I'm obviously a werebear. So apparently, when the moon is not in any particular phase, I turn into a bear and start climbing trees. Maybe that was my subconscious telling me something. Maybe the fact while the sausage gets eaten out of my refrigerator here at the Palmetto Lounge and I don't ever remember doing it. Or maybe that's why like a whole 12 pack of beer will disappear and I have no memory of ever drinking it. It's crazy. Obviously, it means I'm a werebear. And then Sam, the skinwalker. so, so, uh, so the Sam also revealed that he had his dream about me is that we left a shooting match and I was smashed. I was schmammered. Yeah, I'm a Groot. I'm a Groot. And so then Sam says he has a dream about me that we leave a shooting match and I'm hammered drunk. But he never said how well I shot while I was hammered drunk. And so we turn onto the highway, the state highway, and we're cruising down the state highway. And I crash into a fire department barricade that was set up around the car accident. And then he started laughing at me, and so I punched him in the face. And I was like, I don't know, Sam, or is this a dream, or are you just having a memory or a flashback? And of course, Ray chimes in. Well, did Jim slow down or stop? And he was like, hell no, he drove right through it. So I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of that's what I do. Just that's what I do. I drive drunk. I drive drunk after shooting matches, screaming down state highways, and crash into fire department barricades, which I can totally, I can, I can see, I can see me not being drunk, screaming down the highway, but totally crashing into a fire department barricade and just going, oh shit, we got to go. So anyway, I wanted to talk about those dreams. Wanted to talk about those dreams, but it was really weird. I thought it was apparently we were in the dreamscape. We were in the spirit world. Apparently all of us were in the spirit world at the same time. We had crossed over into the spirit world, And apparently, I was a werebear taking care of my bear cub, cutting my toenails that were, apparently there was tree bark underneath my toenails, and I'm glad I cut them because you don't want to have tree bark underneath your toenails, which can only obviously, being a werebear obviously accounts to for the fact that all this beer just disappears from the Palmetto Lounge, and I have no recollection of it disappearing. Um, and then apparently I screamed down the highway, the state highway. I screamed down 421. I screamed down 421 in my werebear state, crashing through fire department barriers. Not giving a flying fudge about doing it. So, uh, so kind of a short chat. Um, try to keep it under 45 minutes. But anyway, I just wanted to share those stories, interesting stories, great stories about watching good movies, watching good old movies. Um, I've kind of gotten on a kick of watching foreign-made films lately, just to see just kind of the difference of the way, foreign to the states. International films, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. International films, just how they approach filmmaking, the art of filmmaking, differently than the way Americans do. Um, South Korean movies are off the chain. Great costuming, um, great characters. Hundun, I watched that one. I watched The Admiral. There was a modern, kind of a modern day set. Those are two period pieces from South Korea. Um, but I saw some couple modern movies out of Thailand, movies out of Hong Kong are always great. Especially Hong Kong movies are great. Just seeing the way that uh, others interpret or use the art of film to entertain and tell stories, and so it's always great. I just like great stories. I'm always a fan of having great stories, um, and hopefully that doesn't get lost in pop culture. Um, just telling a great story, um, having good characters, no matter who those characters are. Um, just a good, strong, well-written characters, great stories that could be told, and then just kind of experiencing the way that people who maybe didn't grow up in the same place that I did on Earth use that medium to tell stories. So anyway, yeah, you know what? Yeah, um, I'm gonna check this one out. Last Train to Busan, because as it says, it is MF and zombies on a train. I gotta check that one out. You see this? Look, I'm using a Parker Jotter. Last Train to Busan. MF and zombies on a train. So, yeah, Ray mentioned Snatch. That's a great movie. Guy Ritchie movies are great. Um, he did Layer Cake. Did he do Layer Cake? I think he did Layer Cake. That's a great movie. Obviously, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and The Gentleman, his latest movie, The Gentleman. Um, that's a great movie. That's an awesome movie. Cool characters. Like, they're just, yeah, all the characters are just written cool and awesome. Um, uh, Last Train to Busan. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I may check that out tonight, or I may check it out tomorrow night. So, but anyway, this is Jim, the Jimish, with my number two-ish FunStream. Thanks everybody. Thanks to all who will be watching. Check it out. And again, um, don't forget. Don't forget what's most important in life. Um, there are a lot of distractions um, in the world There are a lot of distractions that are in your neighborhood. There can be a lot of distractions that are just within your family. But don't forget what's important. Take care of the important things first, and then fill the gaps with all those little distractions. Um, and don't forget that after you've taken care of those important things, you've taken care of those distractions, remember to have a little escapism. A little escapism is good for you. Watch a movie, read a book, read a comic book, read a graphic novel. I did order um, Green Arrow's the Longbow Hunters, great classic comic from the early 2000s. In fact, I got the entire trade paperback for it. So I'm looking forward to reading it. So, but don't forget to take care of the important things first, all the distractions, and then, enjoy a little escapism. And escapism should make you want to escape what's in the real world and then kind of enjoy that fantasy, those fantasies of empowerment and those fantasies of adventure. Enjoy all those. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you later.